The September sun filtered through the blinds of room 112, casting elongated shadows across the alphabet rug where 18 kindergartners sat cross-legged in a circle. Outside, the maple trees of Lincoln Elementary School were just beginning to hint at autumn, their leaves stubbornly green despite the changing season. Elena Morgan cleared her throat and tucked a strand of her chestnut hair behind her ear, a nervous habit she'd developed over her 12 years of teaching. "All right, everyone, let's take attendance, and then we'll start our morning story." Her voice, usually melodic and confident, wavered slightly as she called out names from her clipboard. "Abigail, here!" A little girl with pigtails waved enthusiastically. "Benjamin, present, Ms. Morgan." The boy adjusted his glasses with a proud smile. Helena continued down the list methodically, her eyes darting toward the corner of the room between names. There, seated slightly apart from the other children, was a boy with sandy blonde hair and a blue and white striped shirt. His eyes, a striking shade of hazel, were fixed on her with an intensity unusual for a child his age. "Lucas?" Helena's voice dropped to almost a whisper when she reached his name. The boy raised his hands silently, his expression unreadable. "Thank you," she mumbled, quickly moving to the next name on her list. Her fingers trembled slightly as she turned the page. From the hallway, Principal Clara Winters paused outside room 112, coffee mug in hand. Through the narrow window in the door, she observed the familiar routine of morning attendance. Clara had been principal at Lincoln Elementary for 7 years, and prided herself on knowing every teacher's rhythm and style. What she saw in Helena's classroom that morning made her pause. The veteran teacher seemed distracted, almost jittery. Twice she dropped her pen, and when she bent to retrieve it the second time, Clara noticed how pale Helena's face had become. "Everything okay in there?" Clara wondered aloud, taking a sip of her coffee. She made a mental note to check in with Helena later that day. The teacher's lounge buzzed with the usual lunchtime chatter, the microwave humming as it heated up leftovers, the coffee maker gurgling a fresh pot. Helena sat alone at the corner table, pushing a salad around her container without eating. "Mind if I join you?" Diane Rodriguez, the first-grade teacher, placed her lunch bag on the table. Helena looked up with a start. "Oh, sure, of course." Diane settled into the chair across from her. "Heavy morning? Those kindergartners can be a handful this time of year?" "Just tired," Helena replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "New student adjustments, you know how it is." "Oh, you got a new one, mid-September transfer." Diane unwrapped her sandwich. "Didn't see that on the bulletin board." Helena's fork paused mid-air. "Yes, Lucas. He started last week." Diane nodded sympathetically. "Always tough, especially for the little ones. Where'd he transfer from?" I believe it was Westbridge." Helena's voice was suddenly tight. "Excuse me, I need to prepare for afternoon centers." She hastily packed up her barely touched lunch and hurried out of the lounge. Diane watched her go with a puzzled expression, then shrugged and bit into her sandwich. Principal Clara Winters prided herself on running a tight ship with a warm heart. Her office reflected this balance, organized bookshelves and neatly labeled files, but also children's artwork on the walls and a bowl of mint candies on her desk for visitors. She was reviewing the monthly budget when Janice, the school secretary, knocked on her door. "Got a minute?" Janice asked, a folder in her hand. "For you?" "Always." Clara smiled, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. "What's up?" "Just finalizing the official class counts for the district report." Janice opened the folder. "Everything matches except Ms. Morgan's kindergarten. She's reporting 19 students, but I only have 18 registration files." Clara frowned. "That's odd. Helena's usually meticulous with her paperwork." "I thought so too. I checked twice to make sure I hadn't misplaced anything." Janice showed Clara the spreadsheet. "See here, 18 names, all with complete registration packets. And Helena's reporting 19. "Yes, on her daily attendance sheets." Janice handed over a photocopy of Helena's class list. I highlighted the discrepancy. Clara scanned the list, her eyes stopping at a name near the bottom. Lucas Winters. Winters, like her own last name. This is strange, Clara said slowly, an inexplicable chill running down her spine. There's no registration file for this, Lucas. None. No emergency contacts, no immunization records, nothing. Janice shook her head. And no transfer documentation from a previous school. Clara stood up, smoothing her pencil skirt. I think I need to have a conversation with Helena. Can you pull her schedule? I'd like to observe her class this afternoon. Of course. Janice hesitated at the door. Is everything okay? I'm sure there's a simple explanation, Clara replied, but the knot forming in her stomach suggested otherwise. The afternoon sun cast a golden glow over room 112 as Helena guided her kindergartners through center activities. Some children worked with pattern blocks at the math table, others practiced letter formation in the writing corner, and a small group listened to a story on headphones in the reading nook. Helena moved from center to center, offering guidance and encouragement. But Clara, observing from the doorway, couldn't help but notice how Helena seemed to orbit around one particular student, the sandy-haired boy working alone at the science table. Lucas, the unregistered student. As Helena approached his table, her body language shifted noticeably. Her shoulders tensed, her movements became more deliberate, as if she was hyper-aware of her proximity to him. She spoke quietly to him, her back to the rest of the class, and when he responded, she nodded several times before quickly moving away. Clara watched this interaction repeat twice more during the 40-minute observation period. Each time, Helena appeared increasingly agitated. When the dismissal bell rang, Clara slipped away before Helena could spot her. She needed more information before confronting the teacher. Back in her office, Clara pulled up the school's digital record system. She searched for Lucas Winters in the current student database. No results. She expanded her search to include former students and staff records. Again, nothing. On a hunch, she typed Helena Morgan and Lucas into the local newspaper's online archive. The search yielded a single result, a small article from 7 years ago. As she read the headline, Clara's coffee mug slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. Local teacher loses son in tragic accident. The article revealed the heartbreaking story. Helena Morgan's 5-year-old son, Lucas, had drowned during a family vacation in Lake Michigan. The boy had wandered away while Helena was setting up their picnic. By the time they found him, it was too late. Clara stared at the screen, her mind racing to make sense of what she was seeing. The Lucas in Helena's classroom, the unregistered student who shared Clara's last name, couldn't possibly be. A knock at her door jolted her from her thoughts. Helena stood in the doorway, her face ashen. "Principal Winters," she said, her voice barely audible. "I think we need to talk about Lucas." Clara nodded slowly, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. As Helena sat down, Clara noticed her hands were shaking. "Yes," Clara replied, her throat tight. "I believe we do." The janitorial staff had long since finished their rounds, leaving the school in silence. In room 112, the only light came from the desk lamp where Helena Morgan sat grading papers. The shadowy classroom seemed to breathe around her, expanding and contracting in the stillness. She looked up at the empty chair in the corner, Lucas's chair, and a single tear slid down her cheek. "I know what I have to do," she whispered to the empty room, "but I don't know if I can let you go. Not again." Outside in the parking lot, Clara Winters sat in her car, engine off, staring at the illuminated window of room 112. The school's personnel files lay open on the passenger seat beside her. Tomorrow would bring difficult conversations and painful decisions, but tonight she could only think about the boy who wasn't there, the boy only Helena could see, and the desperate lengths to which grief could drive a person. And she wondered, who exactly was Lucas Winters supposed to be? "Please, sit down." "Helena?" Clara gestured to the chair across from her desk. It was 7:15 a.m., nearly an hour before students would arrive. The morning light cast long shadows across the principal's office. Helena perched on the edge of the seat, hands clasped tightly in her lap. "You wanted to see me about Lucas," Clara placed a folder on the desk between them. "There is no Lucas enrolled at this school, Helena." A heavy silence filled the room. "He's right there in my classroom every day," Helena whispered, her voice breaking. "In the blue striped shirt, seat by the window." "I reviewed your classroom videos from the security cameras," Clara said gently. "I counted 18 children in your class. No child sits in that chair." Helena's face crumpled. "You can't see him?" "No one can see him, Helena, because he's not there." Clara slid the newspaper article across the desk. "Your son passed away 7 years ago. I'm so deeply sorry for your loss." Helena stared at the article, her fingers trembling as they traced the headline. Sometimes I know he's not real. Other days, he's as solid as you are." "When did you start seeing him?" "The first day of school this year. He just walked in with the others. Same age as when—" Helena couldn't finish the sentence. "I gave him my last name because I couldn't bear to hear Morgan during roll call." Clara reached across the desk and took Helena's hand. "You need help, Helena, the kind I can't provide." "What happens now?" Helena asked, tears streaming down her face. "I've arranged for a substitute. Take some time off. Get the support you need." Clara handed her a card. "This therapist specializes in grief and loss. I've already called her. The children will be fine. Your health comes first." Helena nodded slowly. "Can I say goodbye to the class?" "Of course." Helena stood before her 18 kindergartners one last time. "I need to go away for a while to take care of myself," she explained. "Ms. Bradshaw will be your teacher until I return." As the children asked questions, Helena's eyes drifted to the empty chair in the corner. For a fleeting moment, she saw Lucas there, smiling at her. "It's okay, Mom," she imagined him saying. "You can let me go now." Helena blinked, and the chair was empty. 3 months later, Clara walked down the hallway of Lincoln Elementary, pausing outside room 112. Inside, Helena was setting up her classroom, preparing for her first day back. The chair in the corner now held a reading lamp and a small basket of books. The window beside it was decorated with student artwork. Helena looked up and noticed Clara watching. She smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Welcome back," Clara said, stepping into the classroom. "Thank you for everything," Helena replied. "The chair, I moved it." Clara nodded. "How are you feeling?" "Better. Not healed. I don't think that ever happens completely, but stronger." Helena straightened a row of pencils on a nearby desk. "Dr. Powell helped me understand that Lucas will always be with me, just not in the way I was trying to make him be." Clara surveyed the classroom. 18 students this semester. "They're excited to have you back." 18, Helena confirmed. She glanced at the corner where Lucas's chair had been, then back at Clara. "Just 18. As the morning bell rang and the sounds of children filled the hallway, Helena took a deep breath and opened her classroom door. Clara watched as she greeted each student with a warm smile and a personal welcome. The last child to enter was a little boy with dark hair and glasses. He hesitated at the doorway, clutching his backpack tightly. "You must be Daniel, our new student," Helena said kindly, kneeling to his eye level. "Welcome to room 112. We have a special place just for you." She led him to a desk in the middle of the room, surrounded by other children, not isolated, not in the corner. From the doorway, Clara watched as Helena began taking attendance, her voice clear and steady. When she finished the list, 18 names, Helena looked up and caught Clara's eye. Between them passed a moment of understanding. Helena had found a way to honor her son's memory while returning to the living. The empty chair remained empty, but her heart was gradually refilling with purpose. As Clara turned to leave, she noticed a small picture frame on Helena's desk that hadn't been there before. Inside was a photo of a smiling boy with sandy blonde hair and hazel eyes, alongside a quote, "Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day." Helena had found a way to keep Lucas with her, without losing herself in the process. And in the bright, bustling classroom of 18 very real children, that was enough.